And she reached out to me, and out of nowhere, we just started talking and we connected. And so I spoke on her team call. So I asked if she would return the favor. And she's going to talk about finding your tribe, which I just think is such a great topic, because that's what we're all trying to do. We're trying to build our teams, but we want people that are like us on our teams. I feel like if anything's changed for me this year is I'm finding more of my tribe. Took 4 years, but here I am. Maybe if I would have heard from Colleen sooner, it might not have took as long. So Colleen is a 7-star diamond. She's 2-star elite. She's an SE legend, 6-figure earner, and she's also diamond in 2 other of her business centers. So she's kind of a big deal. So Colleen, do you want to take it away?
Hi, guys. So clearly you guys are the big deal. I just wanted to give Ashley, hi girl, a shout out. And to Emily, you and your team are crushing it. I know Letitia's crushing it. Tanya's always crushing it. So I'm honored to be on the call tonight. When I asked Emily what topic I gave her some options. I usually speak on mastering your mindset, but I love branding and I love talking about exactly what branding is, because I think when a coach hears you need to be you. How many times have you guys heard that? Just be yourself, tell your story. Coaches kind of shut down and they don't exactly know what that looks like. So branding and finding your tribe, I want to break that down for you guys tonight. So I actually have a cool little presentation. I'm going to share my screen. Oh, hi, Letitia. You're so sweet. I hope I'm saying your name right. I'm the worst at butchering names. Okay, so I want to talk to you about the real deal with branding and finding your tribe. I'm going to give you guys these slides because there's actually a really cool exercise that completely changed my business last year and this year, and it was really helpful. Rather than just like bringing anyone onto my team, I was getting very specific about the person that I wanted to join me, and this exercise that I will give you and we'll review tonight is super fun. So the why and how we brand. In 2018, guys, people want real. I want to share with you guys why we brand and how to do it. And sorry if you hear my newborn crying. I'm trying to like zone out and not pay attention. My headphones aren't working though, so we're just going to keep going. So why we brand. This is how you're going to connect with people like you. When I look at the girls on Ashley's team, when I see all the girls rank advancing, I know that they're people like Ashley because she's 1,000% her. People don't want to go and see your photoshopped images. They don't want to see your perfect life. They want to see the real deal. Because when people see success and when they see life changes, they don't believe that it's something that's really happening in your life. So they want to see, how are you doing it? I want to share with you how to do it today. Of course, my son is having a meltdown. So your brand is you. You are your own independent company. And you're responsible to represent you and what you're all about. And for me, when I go to someone's social media, when I'm looking for someone to join my team, when I'm looking for someone to invite, I just want to open the chat in case like someone is like, hey, we can't hear you or something. Okay. Ashley says she can't hear, but I think everyone else can. So you are representing what you offer. When I go to someone's social media, when I go to Ashley's page or even a prospect that I'm about to invite, I immediately know their brand. I immediately know what they represent. If it's their kids, if it's their smiling selfie, I know that they're confident. I know that they're willing to share their family. So when I go to your social media, what kind of company are you representing? And it's not Beachbody. You are your brand. The beginning of this is going to be probably pretty dry. You've heard some of this, but maybe we have some new coaches who haven't heard this, so I like to cover all the bases. So my deal is, if you guys don't follow one of my top coaches, she's been in the business 4 years with me now, and she's been able to change her life completely. Her name's Candace Rogers with a K. She's awesome. And I told her from day one, I need you to show up every single day, even when it's hard, even when you don't want to. Just show up and be you. She is now crushing it because it's easy for her to show up because she doesn't have to think about, oh, what are people going to think if I'm having a bad day? It's easy for her to get on social media and share. And I told her, you have to clock in. We don't have a boss, right? We don't have a boss standing over our shoulders at our desk or on our phone. So it's up to us to clock in. And that is something that I've ingrained into myself in my business and into my coaches' minds when they join. If you don't clock in, your business is closed. Now, I'm not saying that you have to be obsessive and you can't take a day off. It's not what it's about. But out of 365 days in the year, are you showing up? One of the coolest things that was said to me back in the beginning is that we get paid to be professional storytellers. And that for me is what flipped the switch of loving social media. I didn't know how to create a blog or a website when I first started. So I said, I'm going to use my Facebook, which now I'm on Instagram more. I have way more fun there. But I'm going to use my Facebook when I first started as my blog, because I would treat every single post that I made as this really big deal. I would tell people my story. So when you guys go to a blog, if someone was like, hey, made tacos tonight, Taco Tuesday, or did my workout, like, hey, here's my sweaty selfie, you'd be like, this is the most boring blog post ever, right? You don't care about that. And so I decided to treat each post as a blog post, telling a story. So you'll become your brand when you're willing to share your life. And I know that's not easy for some people. I'll be very honest with you. It's something that is easy for me. So I really try to instill the belief in people that you can have fun with it. And that's when we work on personal development. I won't even go down that road, but PD has been a huge part of my brand. If you go and watch my posts and read my posts, that's what it's all about. So when you're willing to share your life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, Ashley and I are very similar in terms of our postpartum journey, in terms of time. She had her girly before I had my son, but I had to stop working out at like 28 weeks. I hated being pregnant. I know that's awful. Like, who hates being pregnant? I did. I shared it. I did struggle a little bit in my business because I was a fitness brand before. I was the hard body before I got pregnant, and it's my own fault, but I felt like that was taken away from me. But because I stayed consistent and I shared all of it, I can't even explain to you what I did for my business now that I've come back. So I promise you that if you stay consistent, it will pay off even when it's difficult. My husband went through chemo treatments, we went through cancer. It was just absolutely chaos. And I shared the journey because people want to support you. And you can't just get online and, complain and vent and things, but people want to support you. Okay, that's my rant about sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly. Here's another cool little corny thing I always share with people, because if you're not confident in sharing and being willing to share, this might change your mind. So I have here a confidence account with a bunch of dollar signs. I want you to think about your confidence level every single day like a bank account. When I drink my shake, when I read my PD, when I get on these team calls, when I immerse myself in things that are positive, I'm depositing to my confidence account, because at the end of the day, I feel damn good about myself. But if I don't drink my shake and I choose to just woe is me and play the victim role and I'm not confident, but how am I ever going to be successful? It's negative. I'm taking away from my confidence account. So the beautiful thing about this business and this opportunity is you have the ability to grow your confidence every single day, to figure out who you are and what your brand is. So what's it going to look like? It's about sharing the past, the present, the future. If I go to your social media right now, and the reason I'm sharing this with you guys, just to you're probably like, we're not talking about finding your tribe, is because if you don't do this stuff, it's not going to connect with your tribe. So just wanted to say that. But do you paint in detail how you're feeling emotionally? Because if you don't, people aren't going to be able to connect with you. Our business is not just about like selling mascara. And guys, I'm not knocking on other businesses. I buy every freaking other MLM that you can possibly imagine. I love their products. But I think that our business is experience based. Someone doesn't just get a shake from me or just get workouts from me. They get an experience with me, and they are my girl as long as they're in my groups and as long as they're participating. We do this together, and we all know, especially being women, that we connect on an emotional level. Maybe that's why for guys it's a little different. I do actually have a huge male coach showing on my team. I have about 6 or 7 coaches that are guys on my team. So people say it's my masculine personality. I don't know. But you have to help other people see themselves in your shoes. So every day when I go on social media, I'm thinking about not me. It's not about I ate tacos today, or it's not about I did my workout, or talking about my son. It's about how can I talk about my son and the really difficult or the really awesome day that I had today that will connect with other moms, because I'm a mom now, right? Or whatever person you're trying to connect with. I want you to think about this person. Before every post and message that you send out, Know who you want to connect with and how you want to serve your tribe. One of the greatest things that I was told from my corporate mentor when I think I was a 2-star diamond, is they said, everyone's a Beachbody coach. You sell Shakeology, Ashley sells Shakeology, we all sell the same thing, right? The difference is going to be when you decide to put your CEO hat on and when you make the decision to serve your audience. That's the difference of the person who stays the Emerald coach or the person who emerges into becoming a leader in this business. And that's exactly what Emily just did. So now she's serving her tribe. She's talking to her people. So I want you, my slide's kind of cut off, sorry, but I want you to get used to using buzzwords, and I'm going to give you guys examples because I love to articulate exactly what I'm talking about. You want to use buzzwords, phrases, and examples in a conversational way. So what does it look like? When you're sharing your story, remember, you're sharing it for someone else. I want you to speak to your tribe, and I'm rushing through this because I have so much awesome stuff at the end to share, and I want to respect everyone's time. And leadership, if you're like, I want to be a diamond, I want to lead 2 other Emerald coaches, or I want to be a top 10 coach, whatever goals you have to know that leadership is about being able to transfer the belief that you have, like you're so excited about Beachbody products and coaching and this opportunity, and you're so excited for them, you have to be able to transfer that into someone else. So let's talk about some content creation madness. So this is the quote-unquote homework that I'm going to give you guys. And when you sit down and take the time to do this exercise, that is when your branding and finding your tribe and connecting with them will become so much easier. The top question right now in our network is, where and how do I find new people? How can they find me? This helped me a ton. So I want you to think less about crafting one specific person. Focus more on crafting about the person that you want to connect with in terms of what kind of qualities do they have? What's their personality like? For me, I am not an introvert. I, for some reason, was attracting all these introverts into my business. I am very extroverted. I don't want to necessarily connect with someone who's so shy and so afraid and they are overwhelmed by my presence. That's not really going to work, right? Do I have introverts on my team? My top coach is an introvert, but that's because she decided to rewrite her own language in her head and move beyond that feeling of being introverted. So you have to own who you are and know who you want to connect with. So rather than looking at hashtags because you have a pit bull, or rather at looking, because I have pit bull, or rather than just hashtagging like that you're a boy mom, I want you to think about, where does the person hang out that you want on your team? What kind of personality do they have? For me, self-expression is a huge thing. People come up to me all the time and they say, I love your hair, it's so fun. I wish I could do that. And I'm like, why can't you do that? I want someone who's willing to just wear the dress that they want to wear, or color their hair, or get the tattoo, or be the person that they want to be without permission. That's the kind of quality and personality I'm looking for. So this is going to take you some time, but this is extremely helpful. I also want you guys to spend some time envisioning who you do not want on your team. You probably think you want everyone in the world on your team, but it's really about getting specific about who you also don't want. So for example, I used to think living paycheck to paycheck was cool. I had a job, I had a career job that I actually got laid off and lost that job. And I was getting a paycheck. So I was like, oh, I'm good. I was super comfortable. I don't want that person. I want the person who says, you know what? No more. Drawing the line in the sand. I want to move forward. And so I actually wrote out lists and lists of my dream person. And I got fun little unicorn colored pens, and I was very specific in the person that I wanted. This is what my homework looked like. This is my authenticity branding exercise. And so now, once you craft this up, specifically who you're looking for, you'll be able to go on social media and say, where do these people hang out? That's why I like Instagram right now, because I can look at the hashtags and the tags that people use for the hair company that I use, or for my favorite tattoo artists. All those kind of things I'm looking for. So one of the top coaches on my team, I was helping one of her Emerald coaches, and she's like, I just feel like I can't find people like me. And I was like, well, what are you looking under? And she's like, well, I love Harry Potter. I love cats, and I think she said camping or hiking. And I was like, that's awesome, and it's a great start, but I want you to think specifically about those qualities and personalities. What does this person want and need in their life? Because just because someone likes Harry Potter and cats doesn't mean that they're motivated or that they want more in their life. Do you guys see what I'm saying there? And so this was a huge game changer for me. Back in the day, we used to do those customer avatars, and it used to be like, I'm a dog mom. And I was like, that doesn't work anymore. It's a little different now. So again, you don't have to do this homework right now. I don't know if someone's unmuted, but I have like super squirrel brain. If everyone can just mute themselves, that'd be awesome. I love you forever. So now as you start to create these lists, and I know this is super boring right now, but you'll love me once you do this. It will be so much fun. I want you to think about your story and your style and your journey. What does it have that other people want and need? For example, I'm home with my son right now, and it's extremely important to me as I watch so many of my friends have their maternity leave end and their hearts are broken. What we have solves that problem for people, for what they want to overcome, and what they're craving. So I kind of dangle carrots for people. I think about my person and what they're craving. I remember you guys want to know what made me join Beachbody? Elizabeth Hartkey is actually my upline, and she shared a photo of her in front of the Disneyland castle on a Success Club trip, I didn't know at the time, with a cup of coffee with her husband, and I'm like, that's what I want. I just want to be able on a Tuesday afternoon to be able to travel and adventure with my husband. 4.5 years later, I'm sitting here to tell you that that's what we're doing. I'm doing those things. I wrote in parentheses brain dump because you have to do a brain dump. Get out the old school pen and paper and think about the person that you want to help. And even if you're not there yet, that's okay. I want you to claim what you want. Some of my coaches are like, I ask them on a scale of 1 to 10, how all in do you want to go with this business? And they're like 4. And I'm like, then why did you join me? Like if it's a 4, even if you want to be part-time, you don't want to do this on an 8, 9, 10 level, like you're not excited. They're like, well, it would be nice if I could quit my job, but that's never going to happen. No, you are not dreaming. You don't know, you're not claiming what you want. So that's kind of my rant about this exercise. I also want to make sure that you guys at the end know what your client struggles with. What are they sick and tired of? What are they fed up with? I was sick and tired of living paycheck to paycheck. I was sick and tired of my boss who actually got me laid off in a very unfair manner. I was like a puppet. She was just such a jerk to me. There's thousands and thousands of people out there who don't like their boss and go into work every day and wish that they could do something different. You're gonna need to know how to speak their language and make that emotional connection with them. And the last one is, where do they hang out? My kind of people, I love to go to big resorts. I'm kind of like a travel snob. I like to go to fancy resorts. I like to go on road trips. I like to go camping. I like to go to music festivals. I need to know where my girls hang out, and so do you, because you're going to look at locations. Events are huge. If you're a yogi, you guys will know Wanderlust. I actually met my husband at a Wanderlust festival. And so I always go to the Wanderlust events on social media, and I start connecting with the people who are commenting on their pictures and who are attending their events on Facebook. Your people are out there, I promise. I want to talk to you a little bit about hypnotic styled writing. I don't remember who came up with this, but I was in a training with someone and this was my topic. And my team loves this when I share this with them. So hypnotic styled writing, it is a post or a video that connects with your tribe, their wants and their emotions. And so I used that term buzzword in phrases earlier. And so this is kind of what I'm talking about. So I'm talking about being postpartum. That's a buzzword. I'm not just talking to my postpartum people, but you know, now that I'm a mom, I guess I'm valid. People used to try to tell me that I wasn't valid because I wasn't a mom. But now I'm talking to the people who don't think that they have time. Like I was 8 weeks postpartum. My newborn was very fussy. I hate saying the term colic, but he was not easy. And so I'm showing people what I'm doing. I'm using energy, I'm using emoticons, and you guys will notice on your social media and even on Instagram now that you have to reel people in before they have to click the see more button. So that goes for Facebook and Instagram. What does your opening part say to get someone interested enough to click see more? Now, I don't have as awesome as a following as some of the awesome leaders on this call, and I'm working on that. This has helped me tremendously. I started with an extremely small social media following. I know Emily did too. We all do, right? So I'm working towards, rather than just having this huge following, I want specific people who are just like me, so that when I am putting something vulnerable out there, they're like, girl, me too. That's how I feel. So, I always encourage my team to get very specific. If you're ever struggling in your business, if you're ever struggling with Success Club and you're like, oh my God, no one's signing up, this is so annoying, that's when I get really bold and I take pretty much every objection that I hear and I throw it out in a post. People tell me that they're afraid of day one feeling impossible. That's for the coaches that want to sign up that aren't signing up. I'm speaking right to them, and I'm using their language. Don't worry about what your friends may think about sharing your fitness journey. I have to empower people to believe that you can actually not care what people think. Don't worry about how much it costs. Like, oh my God, when people say how much, I'm just like, clearly you don't follow me closely enough and you don't think that I have enough value to offer. I'm really good at answering the how much question, but I'm just like, who cares? Don't worry about messing up. People are so afraid. Well, what about this? What about that? Worry about how you will feel if you make your wishes a reality. It's all a choice. You have the ability to make that choice. So pretty basic stuff. You guys have an awesome team in terms of sharing on social media, but I want to show you guys how you can break it down. So this is another post for Hypnotic writing and finding your tribe examples that actually brought in some really great people last month. So I was talking about dreaming about my summer. I talked about how I felt about having the freedom to take him. And then I go back to when I used to work in corporate, because I'm speaking to my tribe that probably is in corporate. I was petrified of the thought of having kids and being exhausted all the time from my grueling work schedule. That's a genuine feeling. I was like, how am I ever going to have a kid feeling this terrible, this pissed off, and this tired all the time? And so I bring my audience into feeling, and you can almost close your eyes and picture me driving into work, dreading every shift, because I'm very specific in this post. And then I empower them, reminding them that they don't need to be a fitness guru, because you guys know that people think they have to be. You don't need to know everything. They don't need to know the entire Beachbody coaching policies and how to sign people up and how to grow an Instagram following. They don't need to know any of that. They just need to get started. And then I do a soft invite right there. I meant to screenshot my Instagram, but you guys can easily go and see that. I typically kind of take the same posts and share them over there anyway. And rather than closing it this way, I do the same thing that you guys do. I use the link in my bio. And Instagram stories I'll talk towards the end. So this is probably really small for you guys to read, but this is my coach Candace I was telling you about. She's really good at hitting people in the feels. And she says, who am I speaking to? It's the old Candace. And I love this part right here because she says, I saw the photos and I instantly hated them. How many women do we talk to when they say, I don't feel confident? And so she's speaking to her tribe. So when a new coach joins my team, something that I've learned that really helps them is, oh, someone's drawing on my screen. That's fun. Something I've learned is helping them with their first post. And I only do it that one time, sometimes the second time. And I'm like, hey, send me your coming out post. I tell them what it should kind of sound like in my training. And I just teach them how a surface level post, like, hey, signed up with Colleen Curtis today, or I became a Beachbody coach, excited to help you all. I help them see a surface level post, and I help them turn it into a really powerful post that makes them look like they've been a coach for a long time. And once I help them with that first example, then they're like, oh, I get what it should sound and feel like. Yes, Amber, I will give you the slides, and I know that they'll have the recording. So there's so much type on this, but again, I'm giving you the slides because when you go to write posts tomorrow, this is what you can look at. So I want you guys to talk about, how do you feel today? Go big, go deep. What have you learned today? I think the coolest thing about Instagram stories right now is people know how you're feeling today. They know what your life lessons are today, and how do you want to help someone believe in themselves a little bit more? So I embellish like all the time. When my son is crying, I show him crying on my Instagram stories on purpose because he's super cute, but he also cries. And I want people to see me working with a crying baby or walking and, just real life. Because I know that people feel like, oh, well, it must be easy for Colleen to be a coach, or it must be easy for her to get her workout in. No, it's not. Here's my obstacle that I'm facing today, and here's how I'm overcoming it. What's the lesson that someone is going to take away from your posts? I think it's really important to take the PD that you guys are absorbing and regurgitate it back to your social media. Because the way to influence people is to teach them how to think. So when I write my posts, I ask myself, does this person reading this see themselves in my shoes? Can they actually see themselves doing the workout and succeeding, even though they're tired, even though they didn't feel like it? Am I helping the person who wants to join my team actually feel like they can do it? If you guys can sharpen this skill, and that's a really key term there. You're not going to be good at this on day one. You might not even be good at this in your first 6 months. This is a skill that you will sharpen. I have some coaches who join me and they're naturals in the beginning. There are some people who have that gift. Don't get down just because you don't feel like you do. So this is how your branding translates to Instagram, because I know you guys are Instagram peeps. So when you learn how to speak the language of your tribe, it's going to change your hashtags, and it's going to change the hashtags that you follow and that you research. When you know specifically who you want to help, then my suggestion is to go follow like your top 5 favorite public figure people. So there's this one chick on Instagram. She has like 80,000 followers. I love her photography. I love her style. She always has fun like hair color and styles, tutorials. She has her own cute little clothing and makeup bag company, and she is my kind of people. So I stalk her posts all the time because she has like 700 comments on every post almost. And so I go through the people that are commenting on her posts because those are my people. And so you have to follow people who are like you, and it makes it so much easier. Also, your branding, once you get this down, it will also translate to the language that you use on those 8-second stories. So I'm talking to the tired mom. I'm talking to the person who's sick of, not having more time with their family. I'm talking to the person who's basically, I'm taking that list that I made and I'm using that kind of language in my stories. I get so many messages in my inbox from my Instagram stories because I'm speaking their language, and they're like, oh, that's exactly how I feel, especially in the mom world. You don't have to be a mom. That's the only thing I know right now. But even before I was a mom, I talked whatever I had going on in my life then. Also, once you figure out where who your tribe is, the locations that you are tagging. So I know that's kind of like a trick on Instagram stories is you can tag whatever location you want. And then also your tribe, I poll my audience. I don't always use that poll as much as I used to, but if I want to add people to a group, or if I want to start new conversations, I ask people something, and then I all of a sudden have a beautiful list of people to now reach out to and start conversations with. This business doesn't have to be hard, guys. It can be so much fun. So here, I don't even know if I should be giving Instagram tips because you guys clearly crush it, but here are my Instagram tips that has worked for me. So study successful coaches. I study you guys all the time. So your Instagram stories and your posts, please post with a purpose. Don't make it surface level. That's way too comfy. I suggest doing not 10 posts a day, 10 stories a day, obviously. 10 posts a day on Instagram would be silly. This is really obvious, but I caught a lot of my coaches playing too safe. Ensure you're talking. Like, they need to hear your voice. They need to see your confidence level. And if your confidence level isn't there, they're going to know, and we just need to work on it. We just need to keep sharpening that skill. Make sure that your stories and your posts are targeted to your niche and the person you want to help. Also, make sure you have like well-balanced life, business, fun. I share my kid, I share adventures, I share my fitness, I share business. And so I don't have a marketing plan, but I ask myself, what haven't I talked about today? And that's what I do. Always invite daily on Instagram stories. So you guys probably know Haley Christian. She's actually not my PS coach. People think she is, but I mentored her because her coach is like one of the founding coaches that doesn't really like know social media, did not grow his business on social media. And he's a guy, it's different. And so he introduced Haley to me. And so I was able to mentor her. And so now she's mentoring me in a way where she reminds me that I need to always invite daily on your Instagram stories. So coaches, if I go to your Instagram right now, have you invited today? Publicly getting people excited. I really think the easiest way to keep track of people, everyone's always like, what's your organization system? How do you stay organized? I have people fill out my forms and their emails are there. That's my list. So I delete the applications once someone signs up. I use Google Forms. Or I do actually write down names. I just got a beautiful new Erin Condren planner. And I actually, at the end of each month, I don't know if you guys use these planners, but I actually started using this, if I can get to it, some of the lists that they have in here. And I don't write every single person's name down that I talk to. I don't think that's smart. I don't think you need to, but the person I have a conversation with that I invite that is possibly interested, they're going on my list. I don't need to write down someone's name just because I talked to them. That's my personal opinion. So on your Instagram stories, what are your groups about? Talk to people about when they join mine's called the Babe Squad Challenge. That's my wellness group. When they join me, what are they going to get in there? So if you go to my Instagram story tonight, actually, I shared a little blurb of what I do in my group. Sorry, I don't know whose background noise that is, but okay, on Instagram, guys, I caught some of my coaches thinking that it's just about posting and hashtagging. It's not. Messages really are a must. I send minimum, like I'm talking, I probably send more like 25 a day, but minimum, depending on what's going on with my son that day, I'm sending 10 direct messages 5 days a week minimum to people. And here's my tip. When you find people like you, I really only want to talk to people who are doing Instagram stories. If someone's super rad and awesome and I have to invite them and they're not doing Instagram stories, I still probably do send them a message and invite them. But the people who are doing stories are going to make great coaches because they're already doing what we do. And so I look at their stories and I will send them a message just based on their story. It goes boom, right to their inbox. When I do send invites, I will show you guys my invite on the next screen in terms of my script, and I change it up all the time, but I'll show you what I'm currently doing. Don't copy me. I'll be really sad if I find out someone's like copying my exact thing. That's not fun. Make it your own, right? But my tip for you is have an open-ended and also open-ended question that speaks to your tribe. I don't think it's enough right now to send a message and be like, hey girl, love your hair. Like, she's going to be like, thanks, you know? But if you send a message giving her a compliment and then asking her a question, she's going to write back because you ask her a question. That's how, and it has to speak to your tribe, of course. And that's how I get my conversations going. If I send out 10 messages, I sometimes only get 2 to 3 people that write me back. Don't make that a reason that you stop. On Instagram stories and when I'm messaging people, having an upcoming group in terms of dates, I know Emily does this, and deadlines and challenges, and I call my behind the scenes sneak peek a workshop. So I have specific dates so that when I'm talking to people, I'll be like, hey, next Thursday, I have this going on, would love to invite you. That's not what my invite sounds like, but I have a specific date that I invite them to, and if I don't have that date, I'm not going to invite. If I don't know what I'm inviting to or when, I'm not going to give myself the appropriate time to fill those groups. So it's almost like it's a deadline for myself, even though I tell them, like, I'm sending out my enrollments. I send out my enrollments on the 1st of every month, and I try to fill up all my groups. And then the second half of the month, honestly, if I crush my goals, I spend with my team. I love developing leaders. I love teaching this business. That is my passion. So typically for the second half of the month, that's what I'm focusing on. Instagram messages. So here's what I say to people right now. Hey girl, I just wanted to say thank you so much for the love of my posts. These are people who are liking and commenting viewing my stories and answering my polls. And I actually started recently asking them, how did you find me? Because I'm so intrigued how Instagram is working right now. So don't be afraid to also ask that question. But I say it means a lot to me when other women are supportive of my journey and of me sharing it. What kind of journey are you on? Health and wellness, pregnancy, motherhood. And so this person was currently pregnant, and we just started talking. And then I actually invited her to my group, and that was that. So that is my super fast-winded spiel for you guys. I love questions. And it's, okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure I left some time because I think after I blab, there should be some questions.
Yes. No. Does anyone have any questions? We have her for a little while longer. So I personally learned so much. And like while you were talking, I like thought of a post. So thank you. And I follow Colleen too. So if you don't, that's a great place to start because she is really good about that. Any questions?
Hopefully something was helpful. And I know that this call is a little different because I wanted to give you guys the goodies of that exercise, and you'll get the slides and you'll have fun.
No, I love the making a list of like your avatar basically.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that exercise. And I was like, duh, I don't need to talk to just the person who has a pit bull.
Yeah.
I need to talk to the person who was motivated and hanging out the same places as me. And that way it just opens the door to so many more things.
All right, there's a few questions.
Cool. So for the people listening to the recording, if we feel like most of our Facebook friends aren't our tribe, should we delete those friends? Karen, my personal advice is if you really don't feel like you could ever serve this person, well, I'm not saying, like I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. I did have to start deleting people. So sorry guys, I deleted guys. And if people are just like on there, moaning and complaining about life, they're not my tribe. So if you need to, and you feel like it's causing problems, I would delete them. I mean, if someone clearly sticks out like a sore thumb, just get rid of them. But I didn't really start to do that until I started to max out. So I think it's kind of a personal preference. But it does make it so much easier when you have a close-knit group of people on your social media who are like you, because when you get out there and you follow some of the suggestions I made for hypnotic writing, your tribe is going to come and engage on your posts. We don't just want people to like anymore. We want them to comment and connect with us. It feels good, right? We put something out there and someone comments back. That's the engagement we're looking for. New coach here. How to be confident speaking about what you can offer when I myself only on day 40. So if you've only been a coach for 40 days, I guarantee that right now you could write out minimum 10 things that you love about what we do. I guarantee that you could write out 10 things that you're excited for. I guarantee that there are 5 things that you could write about that you've learned along the way. If you are on day 40 of 80, I just want you to think about finding 5 more yous. If you can find 5 people this month who commit to 40 days of 80-day obsession, you're crushing it. And so don't think that you need to have this huge journey. Just meet yourself where you're at right now, and I guarantee that a lot has changed for you. I bet you are feeling confident because you just did 40 days of 80-day obsession. I'm sure you've never done anything like that before. So number one, I don't want you to beat yourself up about that. You have to celebrate that and help someone else commit to 40 days of 80-day obsession. So I'm a list kind of person. Anytime that I'm helping and mentoring a coach, I really make them answer questions. So I'll if you were to send me this message in a chat, I would say, tell me 10 things, spend 5-10 minutes, tell me 10 things that you've learned along the way. Maybe it was how to eat more veggies. Maybe it's how did you get your workout in if you work full time? So I've really challenged my team and my coaches to figure out, like, how can you share this in a positive way without the financial huge story, without the massive success or the before and after, which I bet you have results if you've done 40 days. Do I do daily cold invites? Yes, I do. I will be honest with you guys. When I started this business, no one talked about inviting. 4.5 years ago, like, people did not really talk about inviting. Now we talk about inviting because everything's very different on social media and the business has changed a lot. So I actually, while I was waiting for you guys to hop on, I had like 6 minutes. I sent this message to a girl who is always commenting back to my stories about my son, talking to me about her babies. She asked me a question about my home birth and my water birth. And I saw her just a couple days ago on April 15th. So that's like, 2 days ago. She commented to me or sent me a message. And I said, hey girl, I know this is kind of random, but I figured I would ask. I feel like you're my vibe when it comes to social media, but have you ever thought about joining any of my fitness challenges or becoming a coach? And then I used some fun emojis. So that's kind of, it's almost like a warm invite, right? Because she's been chatting with me, but I haven't said anything to her about what I do. She hasn't asked me anything. So it's not like just a cold invite. It's kind of a warm invite. So my suggestion is, guys, people who are watching your stories and liking and commenting, go through all those people first. And I doubt that you'll ever officially get through and have no one to talk to. But if you do want to go out and find people like your tribe after this exercise, I would genuinely send a message to someone and be like, I just say, hey girl, I'll send them a compliment or a question first, and I let the conversation happen. So the compliment or the question kind of opens the door and lets me feel out their vibe and connect, because I don't necessarily always just send that, hey girl, do you want to join my team? But I will say that there are times and moments where I feel so compelled to send a message like that. And I'll say, I know that this is probably really random for you. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this before, and I tell them why I think they'd make a great coach or why I want them in my challenge group. If I just send a message to someone being like, hey, I have a challenge group or a fitness challenge starting on April 26th. Do you want to do it with me? They're kind of like, what? No. Who are you, right? But if you make a connection with them and tell them like, hey, I know that you're always sharing your smiling selfies. Your son is super cute. I feel like you and I have a lot in common. What I do as a coach is I host these online challenges and we get to work. We eat clean, we get results, and I'm really dedicated to my job as a coach. I help people get fitness results. I'd love to tell you more about my next Babe Squad challenge starting on 4/26. Let me know if you want more details. Make it sound like you're talking to your BFF more so than just sending the invite to send the invite. That's my 2 cents about inviting. My Instagram name is Colleen Curtis Fitness. So I'll put it in the chat box because my last name is spelled a little bit different. Colleen Curtis Fitness. That is my Instagram handle. Oh, thanks, Tanya. I didn't see you do it.
All right.
Okay, I think I got all the questions, right?
Yeah, I don't see any more, but thank you so much. I appreciate you, and I'm sure everyone else does. Like you said, I feel like you're so right. At the beginning of this, we didn't really learn about inviting, and so helpful.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, guys, here is what is so frustrating though, is half of you will get off this call and you won't implement what she says. There is nothing that training can teach you that is better than action. There were some freaking golden nuggets in this call. Like, it is literally step by step. How do I find my tribe? Which I know you all want to do. So what I want you to do is go do that tonight. Like, start exercising it, because I get on the phone with new coaches all the time and they're like, I don't know how to do this and that and that. And I'm listening to all these calls and I'm like, well, you just do it. And like Colleen said, like, you might suck at first. You might suck the first few times. You might suck for the first 6 months. You will never get better if you don't first start. Like, you don't run a marathon by not moving across the starting line. You just don't, right? So I want you to take action on this, because I feel like we all sit in analysis paralysis. Like, go out there and do what she's saying to do and suck it up. And then you can come report back and be like, look guys, I totally sucked today, and we will celebrate with you. Because I guarantee if you go back to any of us, Colleen, Emily, myself, Lori, Tanya, Letty, any of us, if you go back to the beginning when we started, we sucked too. You have to suck your way to good. You just have to. So I just want to make sure that you guys aren't just showing up on these calls, because we appreciate your time, but it is a waste of your time to show up on these calls if you do not now go implement what you learn. So, and if you feel like you're listening and training and training and training and you don't know where to start because you're listening to so much, stop doing training and just start doing. Go and start with this. This is actually a really great place to start, because social media is such a big part of our business. So go out there and start practicing finding your voice and finding your tribe. And You know, like she gave a ton of great ideas on where you can find your people, but actually do the action, because it's cool to hop off the call and be really inspired. What's way cooler is to move your business forward because of all the things you learned.
And I feel like Ashley, if I learned anything from Ashley, I'd text her and be like, well, I had this idea. And she'd be like, just freaking do it, Emily. And so whenever anything even crosses my mind, I do it right then. Even like, I don't overthink posts anymore because we waste so much time trying to make things perfect. And so when you think about something, even if the words don't come out perfect, that's who you are. Just say it and do it. Like, don't try to perfect things, because again, it's the time.
Same with your invites. Like, don't overthink your post, just put it up, but also don't overthink your invites, right? You are a human being talking to other humans. You have not been a mute your whole life, right? Like, you have spoken to people before, probably every single day. Most of you have spoken to people. You know how to interact. Just do that. Just go. And Colleen, like, I love that. And I put it in the chat, but one of the first trainings I ever did years ago was from Janelle Summers, and she said this phrase, have you ever considered, or would you ever consider? And so I still use that to this day. Like, have you ever considered joining my boot camp? Someone sends you a message, girl, what is it that you're doing? Have you ever considered joining my boot camp? Would you ever consider being a coach? Like, just say it. Just, you don't have to overthink it. Just say it. So I'm not trying to hijack the call, but this is kind of my MO, right? Like, I can't, it's hard for me to be quiet, but I've been doing so many calls with new coaches lately, and like, you're doing so much training, you guys, but training doesn't build your business. Action does. And we'll get the slides we'll get this recording, we'll get the slides for you, and we'll share it tonight. But yeah, Kaylee says 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you don't know what that means, you guys need to get the 5-second rule. Is that what it's called? 5-second rule.
Yeah. Mel Robbins. I will say that one of the things that's helped me a lot with my challengers, my coaches, everything, I'm not a perfectionist, so I can't relate to some people who have that. I have to have it perfect, or should I do this? What do you think about that? But how about if you guys focus on being dedicated versus perfect? Like she said, just send the invite. And if it sucks, then maybe you can, on your next call with your coach, be like, hey, this is what I'm saying to people. It's not working. Like, what should I change? I love critiquing and helping my team, because I just help them like have a different perspective from the outside, because I know they're overthinking it. And so I tell them, you do what you feel is right first, then we go back and we fix it. I make them take action. I make them do all the scary stuff, and then we can work on it together. Our team page is awesome for that. My team will screenshot stuff like, hey, I sent this to people. It was super scary. We all celebrate that they sent it out. And then we work on it together, because I tell them that when you send a message to people, my goal is to have someone feel the feels. I want to leave an impression on them. I don't necessarily just want them to feel like I'm inviting them to my group. I want them to know like why they need to be in my group, because it's the coolest thing since sliced bread. And then they're more excited. Then the conversation's easier. Then you're going to be like, holy crap, I want to go send 10 more of these messages. You're talking to your BFF, hit send, you're going to live. I promise. And Amber asked, did I have a particular method that I used to figure out what traits you were looking for? So I did just brain dump everything, but to be honest, I want you guys to think about, because I'm unfortunately not in Mexico right now. Maybe some of you are going next week. I'm not. That's a long story. But I think about the team that I want to hang out with by the pool. What do we talk about? How do we feel? What do we own? What kind of dreams are we achieving together? What kind of things do my coaches want to have in their life? What do they want coaching to change for them? So I think about that tribe that I'm going to go hang out with at Summit, and that's kind of what I think of, because I want it to be fun and easy and my people. Okay, so yeah. Cool. I will give you guys the link to the slides. And
thank you so much. Ashley, did you have anything to say before we head out?
No, well, yeah. They're like, you have any questions? No, I don't, but just this one thing. So, the one thing that I was thinking of when someone asked, how do you like find what it is that you're interested in? I think because so many of us has spent so much of our lives hiding ourselves from people, when people are like, it's easy to say, come up with 5 things that make you that is interesting, and then but you're like, I don't even know what I'm interested in, and it's because you've been hiding yourself for so long. So in the beginning, it is hard. It's hard to figure it out. But I've said this before. but like, what do you put on Pinterest? Who are you following on social media? Like the people that you're following, that is who you want. You want your following then to be like that. Like how Colleen said she goes to Wanderlust and will talk to the people that are like commenting on those pictures, because people that are interested in Wanderlust are Colleen's people. So it's the same thing. So like, what are you searching out? What could you get knees deep on a night of YouTube videos watching, right? Like, what are you interested in? Guys, when people told me this, going to bars was part of what I was interested in. Like that legit became part of my brand, because I'm like, what do I like to do for fun? John and I like to go drink. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess that's part of my thing. Like it can literally be anything that you want it to. And it's not boring. You've just been telling yourself that it's boring for so long, but you think to be true, but it's not. So it's going to take a little bit of time maybe for you to find your tribe, and like, you got to get to know yourself because you've been hiding yourself for so long. But just get out there and like, just try and see what feels good. But I love what Colleen said at the end there. Like, think about who do you want to party with at Summit or on these trips, because your team becomes your friends. And there have been people before I showed who I really was on social media, because believe me, I had to go through some growing pains too, because I hid myself for years and it was very uncomfortable to like actually put myself into the world. But I recruited people that were not my tribe. So then I'd get together and I'm like, I don't even want to hang out with these people. They are not my tribe, right? So like, just who are your best friends? Maybe start there too. Like, who do you love to be around, and write down qualities about them. And then that becomes your people. I don't know. Anyway, total hijack, but there was just so much good content, Colleen, and you know I just love the stinking pants off you. And
it's funny that you say that, like the whole hiding thing. That's what I tell my people. I'm like, if you're not at a point where you're willing, that's why I use the word willing to put it out there. It's like we're pulling the cobwebs off. And most people are not willing to pull off the cobwebs and get out there, because it feels like you're standing in the middle of the street naked. But sometimes it's what you have to start to do. You have to get out of the house, and people are like, I'm just boring. I do laundry. I'm a mom. I'm like, then get out. I tell them, actually get a life. And people are like, that's mean. I'm like, please, I want you to have a life, an awesome one. And so I'm like, sometimes you have to try new things. And it really actually will start to challenge you and give you content. Like, hey, I tried something today. And then you're going to be like, actually, that was fun. So pulling the cobwebs off. Yes.
I love that. Actually, that's one, I think Amy Silverman did a national wake up call like last year or something, talking about how she keeps finding content. And she's like, when I start feeling my social media posts getting stale, I pick up a new hobby. Like I learned to scuba dive, or I learned to free dive, or I'll change my hair color. Or like, she does things for social media to keep it interesting. So if you feel like your life is boring, go do something, go find a new hobby. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much. I think this was an amazing call for everybody. And also your slides were bomb. They were like so pretty and professional. Thank you, Emily, for setting this up. And I don't think, yeah, Kirby says, just have to tell myself what's the worst that could happen. Someone says no. Yeah. Who gives an F if someone says no? Okay. Love you.
Bye, guys. Thanks for having me.